73% of adults in the United States are overweight according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. What's more surprising is working out an hour each morning doesn't do that much for you if you spend the rest of the day sitting in a chair working. I read Built to Move, Spark, and Age Proof, which all focus on your physical health. These books actually convinced me to make a whole Notion page where I keep track of everything health related. So in this video, we're going to reveal what experts say is the one thing you should be focusing on when it comes to your health, dive into the surprising brain benefits of exercise, and go over how I set up a health page in Notion that keeps me accountable for my health goals. I used to exercise for about an hour every day before work, and when people would ask me, oh, are you like active and fit? I would say, yeah, I think I'm pretty active. I work out every morning before work. Well, it's great that I was knocking out the exercise before work. I spent the rest of the day sitting. I sit to work, I sit when I eat lunch, and I also sit and read after work when I'm kind of done. And what I found out in the book Built to Move is I actually was canceling out all that good work by sitting so much throughout the day, even though I was exercising regularly. Now, the author states in her book that if you sit more than 6 hours a day, you are 37% as a woman and 18% as a man to die before someone who sits less than 3 hours a day. What's crazier is the negative effects were just as strong for people who exercise regularly. I was so upset when I read this because I'm thinking that I'm like this fit person, like exercising every day, but then I find out that I'm not actually doing that much for my health because I was sitting so much. So it's okay because she gave us some guidelines on what we should follow and focus really on that sitting. The first thing she says is to avoid sitting for long periods of time. And she says this is around 30 minutes, which is kind of annoying because if you're working, it usually takes me about 20 minutes to get into the task. So what, I'm gonna spend 10 minutes into the task before I have to get up and move around. But so I kind of move this up a little bit. So I go for an hour, but she recommends 30 minutes. So if you can do that, that's great. Her next suggestion is to walk 10,000 steps every day. Now, this is actually a lot harder than it sounds. I know a lot of people shove this 10,000 steps down your throat because it's in like every health book, but there's a reason why they're, putting so much emphasis on the 10,000 steps is because it really is a good indicator. So that's usually around 3 walks for me, like 3 20 to 30 minute walks throughout the day. So I try to spread out in the morning, in the middle of the day, and then the evening. And the last thing that I'm absolutely the worst at is inactivity level. She recommends basically being inactive 6 to 7 hours less than 6 to 7 hours every day. I have never been able to get this under 6 hours. Like, I don't know how people are doing that. Are you just getting up constantly? Yeah, so I aim for 7, under 7, and that's like a good goal for me, but she recommends under 6. Now, I've been following her guidelines for about 2 months now, and the best thing that I've done is actually buy a device that tracks my inactivity and my steps. Personally, I bought the Oura Ring, which tracks your inactivity, steps, sleep, all that jazz. It's kind of expensive, but you can use your HSA or FSA towards buying it because it's a health object. So that's kind of cool. So I'll link it below. It's kind of expensive if you don't want to spend like $300 on a ring and then $6 a month on a membership to that ring. I mean, it is kind of cool because you can change settings, and I hid the calories, and so I'm not like crazy into calorie counting and stuff. But if you don't want to spend like, a couple $100 on something that tracks your steps, then there's a bunch of options on Amazon. They're like $30 and you can get like a little watch that goes on your wrist and it tracks it. You don't need like an Apple Watch, you don't need an Oura Ring, just get something that just tracks your steps, but look for something that also tracks your sitting, your inactivity as well. I do have some tips if you are struggling to get the 10,000 steps. Mainly, the first one is if you're in really long, boring staff meetings and you work from home, I got an office treadmill. So I got one of those treadmills that, you have the standing desk and you walk on. I use it when I am in really boring staff meetings because they're usually like an hour long. So you can get like 3,000 to 4,000 steps just by walking throughout that staff meeting, which you're not participating in anyway. You're just kind of observing and watching somebody present. So it's super easy to get your steps. The other thing I like to do is combine my Netflix watching and my walking. So I will play an active show. I tend to walk better and not get as bored if I'm watching a sports, like women's basketball. I'm obsessed with UConn women's basketball right now, so I play their games and then I walk on the treadmill. And for some reason, because I'm seeing them running and stuff, I swear I'm like feeling like I'm part of the game. That sounds like kind of crazy, but if you're not into sports, then you can watch, you know, another TV series or something. But it's kind of nice to have them grouped together so you don't get bored walking. The last thing I like to do is I like to go to my workout classes early. So I go to LA Fitness, so I'll go to a cycling class, but I'll walk on the treadmill. I'll get there like 30 minutes before the workout starts, and I'll just do a warm up and I'll just walk. And a lot of women do this. When I started going like 30 minutes prior, I noticed everyone who was in my cycling class, they were all walking before the class. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did nobody tell me this is like the thing now that we're doing? So that's another way to get a couple thousand steps in prior to your actual workout. Now, we don't want to stop there because there's actually a huge body of research that says that exercising is really good for your brain health. There's actually this thing called BDNF, which stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and it plays a huge role in learning and memory, and guess what? Exercise increases it. Exercise improves learning on 3 levels. The first way is it actually optimizes your mindset to be more alert and aware. It encourages nerve cells to bind to one another, which is essentially the cellular basis of learning new information. And it stimulates the development of nerve cells from stem cells in the hippocampus. So if you're feeling like you need to read, study, or work more than you actually need to exercise, think again, because exercise actually makes you smarter. Okay, so you're convinced to focus a little bit more on health, especially sitting, and maybe just put it to top of mind. What is the first step you should do? What I did is I actually just made a page on Notion which has all my health information. So let me show you it. This is my Notion page. It's just going to have bookmarks and very simple stuff. It's not like a crazy template. It's not overwhelming. It's mainly for me to just throw information on so that way I have the links and stuff when I need it. So if you're not familiar with Notion, I will link below a video and the Notion link as well. You should download it. It's a really great note-taking app. You'll see kind of what it looks like as I walk through this. So all I did was create a page, nothing crazy. I just made a blank page. And then I just have my primary health provider, right? Describing what this link is. This gets me to my portal because I don't know about you, but I always lose track of those links where I'm trying to schedule an appointment or look at test results. I'm like, where do I sign in? And then I have to Google, you know, my healthcare provider and then try to find the portal from there. So I just link it straight here. All you have to do is do a backslash and I just type in bookmark, web bookmark. Click that, paste in the link, click create bookmark, done. And it makes it kind of like pretty. I mean, it's prettier than just a URL. And then the other thing I started to do, because I read these health books, is I got a DEXA scan. They recommend kind of getting a whole big picture of your health. And so I got these DEXA scans done, and I've only done one so far, and I just made a database. You can do an inline database, so I just type in inline, add an inline database, click that, and then you can kind of play with it from here. And you can click create a board view or a gallery, which is what I have. You'll see it looks very similar. But that's how you make that, and then you just fill in the information. So let me delete this guy. So here we have the DEXA scan. How this works is I just clicked this, I made a ton of properties. I'm 145 pounds, I've got 97 pounds of muscle, 47 pounds of fat, which love that, 32% of my body, which I'm like, wow, that's like a lot, but my BMI is 21.5, so it's in the healthy range. Anyway, it even tells you how much fat you have on your right leg versus your left leg, so my left leg is slightly fatter than my right leg, which kind of makes sense. And then they give you this printout and they tell you, okay, your BMI is in the normal range, here's all your stuff, but I'm really just focused on that 32% and the 145, right? They also scan for osteoporosis as well, but all I know is that I'm in the green and they said I was healthy, right? Not increased. So that's my bones right there. But I'm gonna do this like once a year, and then I'm gonna see if that percentage fat goes up or down, and then the weight. Because you know how you go on a scale and you don't know, did I gain muscle or did I gain fat? This will help that because you'll know exactly how much fat you have and how much muscle you have. So there's no lying to yourself. You can't be like, oh, I must have just gained a little bit of muscle because I've been working out more. No, it gets rid of all of that. So I'm excited to kind of track that over time. And then I have my dermatology stuff here. So any medication that you're on, like I take tretinoin, I've burned my face off so many times with this tretinoin. I'm like at this really low percentage because I've burned my face so many times. Be careful with that one. I'm on a journey right now. Maybe I'll do a video on it. And then I also take a triple cream because I developed rosacea late into my 20s, so I love that for me. And then I have gynecology. Again, they have like a website and a portal, so I have them both linked there because I can never remember where those links are because it's separate from your health. I'm like, God, there's so many different, portals. And then I have, the vitamins that I'm taking. So I do Ritual vitamins. I also take this Healthy V vitamin. Wow, that's a great name. Gentle Dental, I always have, teeth. And then I like to put these little emojis because it's more fun. And I can put tooth, right? Put a little tooth guy. That's my dentist. I have a root canal. Actually, that's going to be happening on Friday, which is tomorrow. Oh, I've never had a root canal, so I'm scared. Health insurance is another big one because I can never remember, okay, who's out of network, who's in network, all that. So I just link that here. And then I also have a relational database to the books that I read. And I just have it filtered on fitness and health. So these are the books that are related to fitness and health that if I needed to check out the notes of maybe Built to Move real quick, we can scroll down. I got a 4 out of 5 stars. I have some notes. They also reference Spark, which I also read, and that's part of this video as well. And it's kind of nice because I can kind of get lost in here and click Spark and go, okay, what are the notes on Spark? And you can kind of get lost in it. It's fun. So I recommend building one of these health pages and just dump everything on there. You don't need a crazy template. Just add the links, add some databases, play around with it, and it's just really fun. Now the tips in these health books are pretty much useless if you don't know how to build and maintain goals. In his book, All It Takes Is a Goal, John Off actually goes over his 3-step plan on how he attacks goals, and it's relatively new. It's published in 2023. So I will link it up here and below if you're interested. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.